Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Stop, Look, and Listen. I'm your host, LeTroy Gardner. This week, we have a family member to the show. We've worked together for, I'd say it's been well over a decade now. He's blessed Stop, Look, and Listen and the Good Old Boys with countless guests over the years, from Dean from the Rough Riders, Robert Cool Bell, Melba Moore, Patra, Yvette Michelle recently, his mentor, the late great James M. Tume, Stetson Sonic, Patty Jackson, Eric Nolan from the OJs, and plenty more. He's bottled up his nearly 50 years of experience as a PR star to deliver his educational platform to the masses. He's the Henry Higgins of hip hop. We have author, we have model, mentor, the founder of Double XXposure. We have Angelo Ellerbee. Welcome back.
Wow, what an introduction, man. I gotta send you a check. Thank you very much, man. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
It's a challenge. It was kind of jogging my memory because I'm getting up there thinking back to
Out of here.
thinking back to all of the guests that has blessed our platform over the years. But yeah, like, first of all, like we've said, you've revamped the Double XXposure website, and you're providing services to the masses. So just talk about that.
Yeah, I think it's more of a revamp of me, Angelo Ellerbee, and the firm Double XXposure. You have to really set the precedents to be involved in the future and what is current. And since my firm is 55 plus years old, sure, there are ways that I still continue to do. And then there's ways that you have to adapt to. And I'm adapting to the technology of a comprehensive website. And it is to teach young and to educate young and provide for them the wherewithals to that and to this with regards to moving forward and having the open mobility to advance yourself in the proper procedures. So we created this wonderful friend of mine's, Ralph Roll, created this incredible site that gives you the overview of my life and my experience and my time. But more important, I just wanted to be able to relate to a young audience of people. I wanted them to know that if you want to be educated about the wherewithals of the entertainment industry, specifically the music industry, here is the strategies. And the key thing was to making it affordable, affordable. Everybody's afraid to come to me because they think that I'm going to charge them $11,000. But we broke the website down to make it affordable for what you would want to have. So if you need to do a strategy and you want someone to help out with your strategy in terms of the next level of your career, all you got to do is we specifically will create and give you the directions for your strategy for your next career. If you need just a press release, we give you just a press release. If you want etiquette classes, or if you just want the master class, one-on-one master classes, we've broken everything down to the next level. And the key thing for me is to leave an enterprising stage for young people, man. I don't know how much longer I'm going to do what I'm doing, but I think you have to leave something. You got to give back something. You have to be able to leave the legacy of education. And I think that's what this website is really doing at this stage of the game. At this stage of the game, I have to learn the young game, then my game, and then the game. And I think that's what this website addresses.
Mm-hmm. So when I had you on last year, it was after the release of Before I Let You Go, your book, where you were leaving those breadcrumbs, and now you're doing it in the form of actually the hands-on.
Yeah, well, you know what? I owe you and your viewers an apology. You talked about the book Before I Let You Go, and I said I was never going to write another book.
Right.
So I lied. I have a new book that I'm working on. First, we're doing an audio book on Before I Let You Go, which comes out in September. But I'm working on another book that's called Brick by Brick. And Brick by Brick is really about urban communities and the strength of urban communities and what has come from the urban communities And particularly, I speak about Newark because that's where I come from. And I speak about the strength and the people that came from Newark, that came from the state of New Jersey, living in living in the tenements, living in the projects, whatever. And they succumbed and they got to another level. So many people don't understand, or they do understand, or they don't want to understand. Strength is got to be in you. Don't worry about the environment. Don't worry about what's going on. You. So when you talk about Newark, you talk about Michael B. Jordan, you talk about Queen Latifah, you talk about Dionne Warwick, you talk about a list of people. And what we're doing in this particular book, brick by brick, we spotlight. So it's going to be a table book, little dialogue. But I wanted people to understand. Don't make excuses to why you can't get to the next level or to the pinnacle of your success. Because this is what came out of an urban city, right? So I just got to apologize and simply say, I'm not a liar. I just thought that in this particular time, the climate is really crazy with the man y'all got in office, the man y'all put in office.
Don't say that. Don't say y'all.
It's just like my history is being erased.
Yes.
I'm not going to let the history of these people who have gave so much and worked so hard. I want these new people, these young people to understand this is what came from your community. And so that's what this book is going to be about. And I highlighted on the website. All of my books are on the website, and that's doubleexposure.com. All the books. And guess what? I have a Q&A on the website, and it's called Ask Angelo, where you can go in and you can actually ask me the questions and I answer you back. There's so many. My thing is I want to make it resourceful, and I do want to continue to communicate and relate to an audience of people. And so if you have a question about what you're going through in this particular career, ask the questions. It goes back to my first book, Ask Angelo. And so on each particular page of the site, it'll say, Ask Angelo. And whatever you want to ask me, all you have to do is type it in and I get back.
Mm-hmm.
I make everything is so affordable.
Uh-huh. All right. So just give us a rundown of the services that you're providing.
Sure. So we make it affordable when we start to talk about the press and press strategies. The strategies like etiquette, diction and speech, management. I get into taxes. And that's one of the things that we all want to overlook is the tax situation. And that's the situation that grabs us and puts us in jail. It's not to be overlooked. We go into the management side of it as well, how to get into your management, and then strategies on, like if you want to do a press release, we'll structure your press release. You give us your point in your direction, and then we come back and we tailor the press release for what it is that you want to get done. And on the site, it gives you the prices of every single area of concentration that you want. So I'm making this thing so affordable because I really want to make sure that my young people, all alike, are educated to all the fundamentals of what the music and the entertainment and the publicity communities are all about. So, if you just go to doubleexposure.com, it gives you a clear overview of all the services in which we render. We talk about my history, but more important, we talk about how to get a placement, for a young publicist. What must a young publicist do? How do you get a placement? How do you whet the appetites of those journalists in order to make friends with it? I go through a whole genre of things. I can only say, because we'll be on this Zoom for the next week. If I go down the list of the things that we're offering. But yeah, doubleexposure.com is where they should go and look. And feel free to talk to me. We're on the Ask Angelo section of the website. I get back to you and we talk.
Right.
And what you find on the site now, if you go to it, you're only going to you have to become a member. In other words, the member is the service. So if you get a service for a press release, You become a member, you can go through the whole entire site in its entirety. Right now, if you go to strategies, it's only going to give you maybe 10 seconds of it. But once you become a member, it gives you the whole complete dossier of what takes place on our strategies.
Okay.
Dr. Todd McLean provides periodontal and dental implant services in 2 convenient locations. They offer over a decade of experience treating patients, and appointments can even be scheduled in the evenings, weekends, or early mornings. Give them a call in Chapel Hill at 919-537-9774 or in Durham at 919-484-8338 or visit them online at gumsandimplants.org.
Like you said, your career spanned over 50 years. I just have this curiosity.
Yes.
So compare your early days as far as navigating the PR world and shaping the careers. Was it easier back then with fewer outlets versus now where there's plenty of outlets and you have to discern which ones are credible, and you have social media and you have AI? Is it more difficult to navigate the space?
Yeah, good question. I always, in my office, we get requests from all around the world. And I always make the publicists check out those numbers. And depending on the artist, depending on art, check out the number, check out the credentials. All these things become important to me because my clients are important to me. And I want to make sure they're getting the next level of PR. Even when it comes out to the young people who are coming to me that have not sketched a place in stone with their careers as of yet. I still want to make sure that journalist, that influencer is one of credibility. So yes, there's some additional things with regards to contacts, but back in my day, I think it's the same numbers. All you're getting now is a fusion of influencers and 1,001 podcasters. And you got to be very, very careful with all of it. Because some people have 2 followers, some people have 200, some people have 2,005. You just got to be very selective. And I'm all about giving that young podcaster a chance. It has a lot to do with the conversation over the phone. It has a lot to do with their background, because somebody had to give me a chance. So I don't shut the door because your numbers are not high. I think the most important thing in this business is relationships, and that you got to give people a try. So I do research them, though.
Okay. All right. So talk about the vault portion of the website, the artist development program, and how Berry Gordy sort of inspired that.
Well, he did very much for me. And I think in previous conversations, we talked about the lack of artist development in this day and time. And I always go to the Berry Gordy side of it all, because he's the wizard of it all. You know, back in the day and time, our music was looked at as beach music. And that's the only place that you heard it, was on Black radio stations. He wanted to find out, why is that happening? And why are people not playing the music of his artists on their stations and accepting them on national TV shows? So he put everyone into a program where he taught them how to walk. He taught them about choreography. Everybody got into choreography classes, got into wardrobe and styling. These are the mere fundamentals. And then diction and speech. One of the only faults that I think that he didn't teach them was publishing rights, and all of those things that really mattered at the end of the day. But that's where my history, I follow in the pattern and the footsteps of Berry Gordy when it comes down to artist development. I think that's what's happening in this day and time with these independents as well as the majors. They're doing what is called record development. They're only developing the artists to promote the record. But I think there needs to be a preparation before the artist comes out. You know, you have to teach them diction and speech and styling. You know, and then these kids today don't want anybody, this is my style, and that's all cool. I respect where you're coming from. I'm just saying that these are the channels in which you should work, but you could be creative on your own. But I do believe very much in establishing what is a style? You know, when I look back on the Beyonce years of how it all began and how it all revolved, and it all was all classy, never vulgar, never this, never that. It all stayed in the same arena of being classy, sophisticated, and they set the examples for all of the R&B and mainstream artists that came behind them.
And I mean, you have a perfect example, which we touched on in the first interview, and that's Mary.
Absolutely.
How much work it took
Absolutely.
for you to hone her into the queen she is.
Well, you know, the thing for me is that she did not believe much in herself as to wanting to do interviews or diction or speech. But it was a time in her life which she really, 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 really needed it. I would make her look at all of her old interviews, and that was scary enough. You know, sitting in the chair, the ba-da-da, the legs up, all that stuff was scary enough. And then broken English, then going through a thing of reading together. People take for granted that these artists today can read and can write, and that's just not true. You know, if you look at R. Kelly, you know, to the fact that he can't read or write. So what do you know that you're signing? How do you know what kind of money you're making? Who's paying your taxes? You know, these are the things that I think that the young independent labels and those established major labels need to continually look into in terms of developing the artist for staying power.
Talk about the like imposter syndrome, because like what you were just describing with Mary, I can sense that with a lot of artists. It's almost like they have this gift, but because they're always being heard that they're not good enough, or that the marketing machine isn't going to support their project, like it kind of brings them down. So as a PR person, like how do you keep them uplifted? And
I start very much with developing the relationship. When you develop a relationship, it's, you know, like you were telling me about you and your wife, and y'all were talking, right? And before you got to that point to be husband and wife, it was a conversation and it was a relationship of trust, and she earned your trust and you earned her trust, right? So it's the same thing with me. Learning to trust. They have to learn to trust me. And just going back to Mary, she learned to trust me. She was very hardcore coming out of Yonkers. I'm born and raised in Newark. We weren't going to bump heads because we knew where we both were coming from. And so I took those challenges. I wanted to find out about where her mother was and where her father was. If there was a separation, if there was a divorce, why are you feeling like you feeling? My whole direction in my career has been to always uplift people, get them to fall romantically in love with themselves, let them believe in themselves by giving them good energies and putting them around good people with good energies, telling them that they're greater, and then just the greatest of what they go to do. It's a teaching. They need to hear it. It's almost understanding the lyrics of your song. If you're not believing what you're singing, the consumer is not buying. But when you start talking, when you start singing those lyrics like you mean it, people get the song. So it has a and my whole thing is, and I don't like to get into religion, but I know with Mary, I started with her reading the Bible page by page. Then it was books. Then it becomes exciting because they see the change in their person and in their real world. But you got to take time. You know, it's like raising a child. It ain't a cup of instant coffee. It's that brewed coffee. It's that lasting coffee, that smell. So here, Mary J. Blige is a Oscar-nominated actress. Who would have ever thought? So what I do is not instant coffee. It's brewed coffee. It takes time for them to get a clear understanding of the methods in which we have to do in order to get to the apex of their success. Okay. Inspiration, inspiring them, loving them, telling them to fall in love with themselves. All that stuff becomes so very important. And when the haters are around, you got to rebuke those haters. You got to rebuke them and say, get up out my life. Even when people want to call me and you gossiping, I don't want to hear it. And they said, why you don't want to hear it? I said, because I may repeat it and I'm not trying to carry it. I don't want to know it. Give it to the next person. That's just how I see it all, man.
Yeah. So how important is authenticity in today's media landscape? And you can obviously reference the person behind you, the late, great Earl Simmons, because he was the most authentic artist of the last generation, I'll say.
Yeah, man. There were so many sides of Earl, and all the sides were real. They all were real. I had to adjust to his realness. It wasn't easy. It was very, very hard for me. I never wanted to change him, wanted him to be who he was, but I also wanted him to put respect on his name. Not just as an actor, not just as an entertainer or a rapper, but as a businessman. I wanted him to put respect on his name and to have people to respect him. Look, I believe that everybody is merely actors and actresses. We all get scripts each and every single day of our lives. We get script. Life is nothing but a big stage. When you finish performing, you go to the next stage of your life, and you're around your kids, and you're around your mother, and these are stages of life. So while everybody thought he was so difficult, and once he got to know you, and once began to trust you, it wasn't difficult. Very smart man. Very articulate, super intelligent. And everybody would say, who are you talking about? And I'm saying, I'm talking about Earl Simmons. I mean, everybody says DMX. And that's all good too. But I had a relationship with Earl Simmons. It was really, look, this man entrusted in me to run his record label, Bloodline. He entrusted that in me. And that meant a lot to me at that day and that time, to run his world. It was key. As many other rappers that have come through my door, I all look at them as just actors, because once you get to know them, it's totally different. So, and then I don't want to change you. I just want to inform you, and particularly of what comes out of your mouth. And I want you to realize and understand that none of this stuff will ever be erased. Your kids are going to see it. Your grandkids are going to see it. So you just have to be really, really careful of how you go to position your life and your career.
Yeah, what you just said was a bar within itself. I don't want to change you. I just want to inform you.
Absolutely.
And as we prepare to wrap, like that's pretty much what you're doing, leaving these breadcrumbs with Double Exposure,
man.
is informing. Absolutely. You work with recording artists, authors, thought leaders, entertainment executives, entrepreneurs, brands, actors, public figures. What message would you like to leave in closing?
I would like to leave in closing, be you, learn to fall in love. I'm romantically in love with Angelo Ellerbee. I love me some me. And I want people to start loving themselves and be able to detect what don't smell right, what doesn't feel right, that you dispose of it and go in another direction. It's so important to stay positive. It's so important to love yourself. It's so important to fall romantically in love with yourself. It's also good to know what goes up must come down. So you must prepare yourself for the ups and the downs of your careers. That's what I like to leave.
Okay. All right. DoubleXposure.com is the website.
That's that website.
Angelo Ellerbee, the Henry Higgins of hip hop, is the mastermind behind the website, shaping the careers of so many of our beloved superstars. And he's here to do it for you, me, and anyone else. So become a member today, peruse around, find what services you need the most, and he's the man. Him and his team will help you shine like a diamond. So thank you again, sir, for your service. Thank you for your time again today. Thank you for continuing to be a blessing to Stop, Look, and Listen and Forecast Media. And
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you and your team of professionals, and keep doing what you do. Keep doing it to the standard in which you do it.
All right. We'll be looking forward to you coming back for brick by brick by brick.
Yeah, hey, there you go.
Coming soon.
Coming real soon.
Coming real soon. So, Brick City's finest, Angelo Ellerbee. Thanks again. And
My pleasure,
Stop,
man.
Look, and Listen. I'm your host, LeTroy Gardner.
I appreciate
See you
it.
next week. Peace and blessings.
Be safe out there, man.